So Chris Jones signs big money deal to stay with the Chiefs. Woo! Big money deal to stay with the Chiefs. I mean, 29 years old, defensive tackle. There were some people out there that said the Chiefs should have signed Snead and versus Jones. And I'm like, hold on a second, man. Football is played from the inside out. And when I mean that, you've got to have quarterback is most important, but you got to have offense and defensive linemen. And here you've got a 29-year-old guy who gets after the passer, can rush from all four defensive line positions effectively and get to the quarterback. You have to account for him in the run game, which means a double team is required. And for the most part, he stayed healthy. Not most part, he stayed healthy. Those guys don't grow on trees. They don't grow on trees, man. So that was the signing. Now, can they get Snead later on? Yes. Yes. They're going to franchise him. He's not playing anywhere but in Kansas City this year. The Chiefs are not trading him. All this talk coming out, it's before the draft. It's before free agency. The Chiefs are not trading Snead. Not this year. Nope. They're not doing it. It may something come up where he might get traded next year, or maybe they let him walk next year. But he's not being traded by the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not going to do that. And you might say, well, come on, B. If they can get a first and a third round pick, they'll trade him. Well, what team is going to give up a first and a third round pick for Snead? When they know, number one, the Chiefs could match any deal because he's on the non-exclusive tag. But number two, he's really good. They're not just going to let that go. He's good. One of the reasons the Chiefs won the Super Bowl is because of him. So they're not letting that go. So we'll find out. We will find out. But Chris Jones, monster deal, $95 million. Woo, guaranteed. Going to end his career with the Chiefs more than likely. So, my man, this is a good question, Rob. Will the Chiefs have any money to target a free agent wide receiver? No, they won't. But I don't think the Chiefs want to do that. I think the Chiefs want to draft a wide receiver. I think that's what they're looking at. They might go after maybe a low end like a Tyler Boyd, somebody like that in free agency. But they're not going after a number one wide receiver in free agency. That's not what the Chiefs are going to do. Here's how you know that they're not going to. Look, they gave up Tyreek Hill. They were willing to trade a guy that, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in football. And they were willing to get rid of him versus paying him. They could have matched what Miami was doing. No, we're not doing that. And you know what? It's worked out. They've won 2 Super Bowls in a row since then. So why go out and pay a big-time receiver? Now, I think they're going to address the receiver room through the draft and maybe, like I said, a lower-end free agent, but they're not going to go out and spend top dollar for a guy. They're not going to do that. They don't have to do that. You got Mahomes. They got a good offensive line, minus Donovan Smith, who I don't think they're going to bring him back at tackle. But you know what? They drafted a guy last year, Wanya Morris, and when he got his opportunity, he played pretty well for the Chiefs as a rookie. And they're just going to slide him in. So, no, the Chiefs are not going to do that. They're not. They'll address it how they need to address it, and they'll move on. And just think about this. Chiefs struggled this year with receivers and drops, but they ended up figuring it out, and they won the Super Bowl, man. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's some people out there that the Chiefs can go get, lower end as far as wide receivers on the free agency market. They can go out there and get those guys, and they will be fine. Because it starts with Andy Reid. It ends with Patrick Mahomes. They can get it figured out, plug some guys in there. Now, they got to be competent. I'm just saying that they can just throw anybody out there. But as long as they're competent guys, like I said, they can go get a Tyler Boyd. What would be wrong with him? They can go get him, and he's not going to be counted on as being a number one receiver because he's not. So he's a low end 2, high 3. He can fit in with the Chiefs. So Chiefs aren't going to go get Calvin Ridley. They're not going to pay that kind of money for him. They're not going to do that. So they got other needs. They got other needs. So Curtis Samuel, no. I don't think Curtis Samuel leaves Washington, to be honest with you. But Chris Jones signing is huge for Kansas City. It is huge for Kansas City. So Michael Gallup, if Michael Gallup has figured some stuff out and gotten it back, maybe. Not Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson's days in the NFL are pretty much over. He was terrible with the Steelers this past year. Good in the locker room, but how about some production? And maybe it was the offense. Maybe it was the quarterbacks. So we'll see. I think Allen Robinson will get another shot in training camp, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.